welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning as we've got you all set up and ready to go for another edition of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and of course on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And of course, find us on our social media on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X, the former Twitter, at Call DT, and on Instagram at Wake Up Call_DT. It is Thursday, so you know what it is today. It is Papa Joe Day, the PJ Takeover Day. That's what it is. The Go-So, the grand old smooth one, is here with us today to hang out and have some fun as we always do. PJ and I are going to be talking about baseball in hour one, football in hour two. That's how we typically separate it up here for you. So we're going to have the opportunity to jump into the Major League Baseball postseason, speak on the ALCS, which the Astros got their first win of the ALCS last night, and were able to finally get those bats going, and they are now down 2-1, but they'll stay in Houston for an opportunity to tie the series. My Arizona Diamondbacks are back in Arizona. It's been a minute since they've been out in Arizona, and they are there for this matchup tonight. They're down 2-0 to the Philadelphia Phillies, but this is their first game of the NLCS in Arizona. So we'll talk about that as well. Then we'll jump into hour number two, college football. We'll speak on what's happening in college football right now, where certain teams are at, where certain things are going. And then we'll get into our college football picks for week 8. PJ's Gators and my Syracuse Orange are both taking a week off. So we will not be doing their games, but we can make some notes there on how the teams are doing as they step forward. And then we'll go into the NFL and make our picks for NFL Week 7 and go from there. And then, of course, we'll get some thoughts in about the Jaguars, who are playing tonight. Extra early birth. They already won for my birthday, in my opinion. I was at the game, interviewed the guys. They already defeated the Colts. That was already an early birthday gift. Now they have the opportunity of playing again tonight and being the only game on television. So I'm going to be watching the Jags tonight against the Saints on the road, and looking forward to, hopefully, another birthday gift. So a lot of good stuff coming up here where sports meets life. I got PJ on the line, so let's bring him in without further ado. Papa Joe, how we doing?
Good morning, Daniel. Nice of you to be down here this last weekend. We had a lot of fun, of course, celebrating your birthday and then watching the Jaguars win again, of course. So it was a very fun-filled stay on your part. And now you're back up into the doldrums of Syracuse.
Yeah, it's back. You know what? I gotta say though, it's the weather's been pretty nice, and it has been cool. Yeah, it's definitely been fall weather, but it's been super sunny. Today is absolutely gorgeous. A perfect day to go see a soccer game, and I say that because the men's soccer team for Lemoyne is going to be playing on the Heights today at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And you should definitely come out and see them. They have an opportunity to make the postseason in their first year in NCAA Division I ranks in the NEC. So you definitely should come out and support them today at 3 p.m. And when you come out to Ted Grant Field, look to the side of the field, and you'll see my Wake Up Call banner out there as well. So big time shout out to the Lemoyne Dolphins, to the men's soccer team, and getting something going today. But yeah, no, it's been a little bit cool, but it's fall weather. I'm a fall baby, and so I can dig the weather, PJ. What I can't dig is the allergy stuff, the back and forth with the allergies. That's what I don't dig, but I do dig the fact that the sun is out today for sure.
Well, that's good. You need some nice fall weather before the bad weather starts coming in, and you'll know it when a little snowflakes start falling and you get down to 0 degrees, which is awful. But anyway, just have some nasal spray next to you so you can keep your passages clean, blow your nose, and get all that stuff out of there. So you'll be okay.
Yeah, no, definitely the fall weather and the changes, not always gentle on the allergies, but I hope everybody, I got to do what I got to do to keep myself well and healthy, and I hope y'all are doing the same thing. So, PJ, speaking of healthy and what they got to do to stay healthy, we have the Houston Astros and we have the Jacksonville's later. We have the Houston Astros and we have the Diamondbacks, both down in their series. The Diamondbacks down 2-0, and the Astros winning last night when they were down 2-0, so now it's 2-1. What are your thoughts on, we'll start with the ALCS, just what you've seen from the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros. They fought throughout the entire season for the rights to call themselves the NL West champions. It started as Texas, it became Houston, it went back and forth, could have been Seattle, ends up being Houston. Texas plays in the wild card round against the Tampa Bay Rays. Houston got to sit out the wild card round and wait until the divisional round, but now Texas has a game up on the Houston Astros. These are two teams that know each other all too well, and they've been fighting all year long, like I said. What can you say about yet another series between the NL West Texas Rangers and Houston Astros?
Great series. Love watching these guys. I'm just a little disappointed in the way the playoffs have been going on. Big disappointment in Baltimore, Atlanta, and LA, but that's for another thing. You got two of the best managers that have ever managed in baseball, Bruce Bochy and Dusty Baker. Both of them have coached and managed over 25 years. Bochy has 3 world championships from San Francisco, and Dusty Baker has one with Houston. They know what they're doing, and guess what? They actually manage the game on feel, on guts. They don't have all of this analytical BS flying all over the place. Well, this guy can't hit lefties, and this guy can't hit righties. Forget about it. These guys know what they're doing, and they manage the game that way. And I said several months ago that the pennant, other than Baltimore, was going through Texas and Houston. It doesn't surprise me at all. They're both excellent teams. They got it all. They got pitching, they got hitting, they got defense, and they got managers that actually manage the game. So, I watched a little bit of the games. I'm trying to keep up with everything in football, too. So, sometimes I get tired and I go to sleep. So, but I read about it the next morning. Yeah, Houston showed up last night, and they pounded about pretty good. Little Altuve had a home run, Mary's favorite player. And the pitching was decent. They won the game 8-5. But the first couple of games, Texas went out in front easily 2-0. Montgomery was pitching. He pitched 7 innings, only gave up a couple of hits. He was nasty from the previous series, really nasty. He's tough to beat, period. And the second game was 5-4. Yeah, and Evaldi pitched that game. 6+ innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs. So that's what they're trying to do. They're going to get their 2 aces out there, maybe on 4 days rest, and see what they can do. But Texas had to they got Scherzer last night, and he got rocked pretty good. And Houston has Verlander. So both of these guys we know very well because of the Mets. And, of course, I've said it 100 times, they're both future Hall of Famers, and they're a little bit old in the tooth, but they still have stuff. Verlander didn't pitch that bad. He only went 5 innings, only gave up a couple of runs. But Scherzer got rocked last night pretty good, so they knocked the heck out of him. And Texas and Houston both used the long ball to score runs. One of the problems with Houston is that Kyle Tucker, who was actually maybe the MVP of the American League, hit 284, 29 homers, 112 RBIs. But in the playoff series, he's only 2 for 22 with 7 Ks. Now, this guy's a super, super hitter. So he had to go back to the drawing board, maybe had a little extra BP. So he reached out last night. He was 1 for 2, but walked 3 times, which is telling me he was being real selective with pitchers and not maybe going for things that he struck out 7 times on. So they need Tucker to hit, period. They can't do it on their own. They got good players, Altuve and Bregman, but they need him big time. So therein lies the story of the games. I haven't gone to Arizona yet.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so, I mean, speaking on that series, are you surprised at all with the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros? I mean, do you think this is going to go 7, looking at how they went up against each other all season long, how much they fought all season long, and how the division wasn't even spoken for until the final week, final few games? Do you feel like it's going to be the same way here? And even though Texas started off hot, do you see this going 6 or 7, or how do you look at it?
Well, I could see maybe going 6. I think that Texas has the advantage. Texas just hits the hell out of the ball. My favorite player and my lead for the MVP, Corey Seager, is hitting very well. So is Marcus Seaman, who runs things from the top of the order. They got big-time hitters with Adolis Garcia down the road. Evan Carter is a real good young player. So, yeah, Josh Jung, I think, went yard a couple times. Some of these guys are not household names, but Seaman and Ziegler are. And these guys can set the table with the big guys coming up after them. The name of the game, Daniel, is always you hear me saying pitching and defense, pitching and defense. Well, Texas proved pitching was the name of the first couple of games. Even though it was without Verlander, maybe hopefully trying to steal the first game. But he pitched well. Is that he didn't give 5+ innings, just gave up 2 runs, I think, 5 hits, something like that. But he'll be back. He'll be back. And it could be if perhaps maybe Houston is down and they're down to the last game. Verlander is don't surprise me if he pitches on 3 days rest. So if he can get 4 or 5 innings out of him and maybe get into the bullpen, they can keep it going. This game will go back and forth. They got great hitters, great pitching, somewhat great pitching, but their field plays are excellent. These guys don't make any errors. They're just tough. And the managers, I can't emphasize that enough. Both of them, 25 years plus. Both of them have World Series wins. They both have over 1,000 wins. They're just good, solid baseball men, and not analytical junk. They're in a Holder and Dusty Baker's in the 70s. Bocce, I think, is in his late 60s. So who's to say that these guys can't go anymore? They use their brain and they use their field, Daniel. They don't use any computers or anything like that. They don't say that, well, Evaldi can't pitch against right-handers because right-handers hit him. Well, you gotta work on that a little bit, Throw some more bullpen or something. But don't give up on that guy because he can't do this or he can't do that. That's what I see happening in the National League right now. National League's in a real pickle. Philadelphia just hammered the hell out of the ball and really knocked the hell out of Arizona's young staff. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But to answer your questions about maybe the series going longer, I think the series goes 6 games.
Yeah.
Houston's not dead by any means. They can hit, they can score at will. Altuve and Bregman are just, they've been around for years now. They were part of the, unfortunately, they were part of the cheating scandal. But they're both really good young players, and they hit the hell out of the ball. So, and they're little. And they're at 6'5" and 220. They're little guys, 5'8", 5'9". Altuve's only 5'6", and Bregman's probably 5'8", 5'9". But don't try to get a fastball by him.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, and I can see this series going longer too, just because of the fact of, how they played each other this season thus far. This has been such a back and forth. It's been a toe-to-toe fight. It's no one has. I think what it is though. To me, when I look at this postseason this year and I look at the last 4 teams that are here, the Phillies have been hot and the Diamondbacks have been hot, and the Astros, they've been pretty good, obviously too. But I feel like the Rangers are the team right now that's the best. There's just something about their play. They end up being a 5 seed, but and even though they're a 5 seed, and even though they're in the wild card, there's just been something about the way that they've played the game, the way that they have kind of gone through this postseason. And I don't know if you feel the same way, PJ, but I feel like the Texas Rangers almost kind of present themselves like they were a number one seed, because there's no number one seeds left, but they kind of appear to be a number one-ish type seed in this Final Four that we have in Major League Baseball's 2023 postseason. It's kind of like they're the juggernaut, and as good as Houston is, and as good as Arizona's been lately, and as good as the Phillies have been historically recently against the Braves, and they did it again, I just feel like the Texas Rangers are this team that is playing complete baseball. And I feel like they're maybe doing things a little bit better than everybody else in the field, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
I agree with you. I like Texas here, too. I think Texas goes 6 games to do it, though. They just have a good lineup. They're tough to get out. And, I hate to be redundant, but it's the managers that are setting the table for these guys. They know the game inside and out. They don't have to relate to anything. They don't have to look up anything. They have it all in their brain. They know that Marcus Stroman and Corey Seager runs the team from the top of the order. They know that Garcia is going to be knocking in the runs. Mitch Garver too. So you're not going to change the lineup at all, because they all hit well. Nat Lowe, Josh Young, these guys are home run guys. Matter of fact, Young hit 2 homers, got 4 RBIs, and he 8-5 win. So he's a guy that bats 8 in the order. So the managers know their pitchers, they know their hitters. There's no surprises with the teams. Bruce Bochy isn't going to throw any surprises at Dusty Baker. That's the way they don't manage. They don't manage that way. They manage with the team they have, the guys on the field, and the pitching staff. So it's going to be intense. I like it if it's a 2-1 game or a 3-2 game or something like that, and the TVs they pan the dugouts and they'll look at Baker with his toothpick in his mouth, of course. Bochy on the other side, just grinding away, thinking way ahead of the game. If this happens here, what am I going to do here? If they hit him, what am I going to do next? So it's so much fun to watch. This is what I enjoy the best. I see 2 teams that, frankly, are probably going to be the favorite to win the World Series, whoever does it, because the D-backs are just going to be they're all out just playing the way they are right now. The Phillies are too strong. But I think that Texas probably will win games, and pitching and defense is probably going to be the key, as usual.
Well, and I put the poll out for the fans. We always do sports polls on our former Twitter channel, CallDT, that's CALLDT, and so I would appreciate y'all voting today. If you haven't voted, go and vote now. You still have some time. So go to X, the former Twitter, and go to @CallDT, that's CALLDT. Click follow and see on our timeline that we have 2 sports polls up right now. Who will win the ALCS and who will win the NLCS? I want to get what you guys were thinking going into Game 3 for both teams. So this was presented before last night's game. I said, who will win the ALCS, the Rangers or the Astros? This was Rangers, then it was Astro. Well, it was Rangers, then it was 50-50. Right now, it's 58.3% Texas Rangers, 41.7% say the Houston Astros. So that stayed close. And then I asked you who will win the NLCS between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Philadelphia Phillies. 8.3% say Arizona. 91.7% of you say the Philadelphia Phillies. I have had, I loved the first game. I love the way Arizona fought back. The second game got away from them, which was, tough to see, obviously, as an Arizona Diamondbacks fan. But I'm hopeful that going home can re-energize and reset and regroup this team, just like I spoke about with the Jaguars when they went to their home away from home. So, PJ, what are your thoughts on the NLCS, Arizona Diamondbacks and Philadelphia Phillies? Arizona came in on a streak of running through the wild card without an issue, 2-0, then running through the NLDS against the Dodgers 3-0. They had not lost a game in the postseason until the NLCS. What are your thoughts on the Diamondbacks and the Phillies?
Well, first I got to say how disappointed I am in Atlanta and L.A. I was really touting L.A. to win it all, as well as Atlanta. Both sort of 50-50. Atlanta just had the bashers. They had the better players, the better hitters. Los Angeles had good hitters, but better pitching at a time when it wasn't that important. When it was important was when the Dodgers spit the bit. Three of their guys are on injured reserve because of injuries. Walker Buehler is one of my favorite pitchers, and he's not going to flip. He may not pitch next year either. But, to put the ball in Kershaw's hand, again, a Hall of Fame player, period. When he first pitched against Arizona in the first game, his ball was flat. His curveball wasn't curving. His splitter wasn't doing anything. And a good young team like Arizona just took their rips on him and just knocked the hell out of him. So watching that game, and I said, hey, they're toast. And I was right because Arizona came and won the series easy. Atlanta was another different story. They had no excuse at all. They had pitching, and they had defense, and they had tremendous hitting. But they didn't do it, and they're not here. So the two best teams in the National League are playing right now, and Arizona looks like they're a little overmatched, but they're a good young team. They're a scrappy bunch. They got some good players, not some great players yet, but some good players. But what disturbs me about Arizona is that their manager, they had to go with their two aces, or their one ace and a half, Gallon. They needed Gallon to win this first game of the series, and he didn't pitch very well. 5 innings plus 8 hits, 5 runs. That's not going to do it against a team like Philly. The second game, they threw Kelly 5 innings, 3 hits, 4 runs. So neither one of these young men got the job done. So now where does Arizona turn now? I don't know, because I don't know the pitching staff that well. But Philadelphia is a brazen group of guys. They got some sluggers. Just knock the hell out of the ball. Their team is run not really from the top, but from the middle down because of their sluggers. The only difference is Callie Schwarber, who leads it all, who can't hit. He hits below the Mendoza line for 2 years. And what is he? He leads off and he hits something like 35 home runs and knocks in 100 runs. Goes to show you that you don't have to hit 300 to be a leadoff hitter, and that's what Schwarber does. And of course, he went yard a couple times already. So Philadelphia's team, from top to bottom, is difficult to get out. You can get by Schwarber maybe sometimes, but you got Trey Turner sitting there, and you got Bryce Harper cleaning things up. You got Alex Bohm cleaning things up. You got Realmuto, who's one of my favorite players. He got 3 runs in the other night. The problem with Arizona is that they've got to keep this third game close. And I wouldn't be surprised if the manager pitches by committee here. Maybe the starter will get 2 innings and 1 inning here, 1 inning there, inning 2/3 here. So he's going to have to mix it up to try to keep the Phillies off balance. And I don't know who they got, but it's going to be a tough road for Arizona. I don't think that they're going to win the series. I don't think so. But the series may go 5 games, may go 6 games. But Arizona's got to show some spunk here tonight. 5 o'clock's the game, and whoever they're throwing, they got to have it. They got to have it, and they got to have it good. They got to get at least 2 or 3 innings out of their starter, because Philly's going to be swinging for the fences, and they should. One thing you can't do with Philadelphia is you can't get cute with them. You can't think, oh, Schwarber leads off. He struck out 1,000,000 times. He can't even hit 200. Yeah, but try to throw a fastball by him. Or try to throw a slow curve by him. You'll find her 420 feet in the seats. So Turner's the same way with Bryce Harper. All these guys hit fastballs real well. one thing that baseball fans maybe aren't aware of is that minor league players, when they're playing the game, they already know the game because they played in high school and college, most of them, and then they go to the minor leagues and they play and they hit. One thing that our fans maybe aren't familiar with is that when young players come up through the system, all of them, mostly all of them, can hit fastballs. They've feasted on fastballs when they were younger, and their problems occur when they get in the major leagues and they face pitchers that throw curveballs, sliders, and changeups, and you're gonna see these kids swing and miss a lot because they're not quite used to that kind of pitching. So when they come to the major leagues, they got to be ready to hit the off-speed stuff. And Philly's got the pitchers to do that for Arizona. Arizona's going to have to be patient. I know they got some good young players, and justifiably so. They've won going forward, which is what I want to say. And now they're up against it. So they got to watch. What I used to do is watch the guys warm up in the bullpen. If I saw Philadelphia's pitcher warming up in the bullpen, if I was a manager or maybe an older player, and I'd look at that pitcher and I'm seeing that the pitcher isn't throwing fastballs warming up. He's throwing sliders and he's throwing changeups and things like that. That's telling me right there that he's going to use those pitchers in the game, and you got to be ready for it. You have to be aware before the game starts, not just when the game starts. You got to know. You got to look at the other pitcher and you got to see what has he got. Just because the pitcher warms up doesn't mean that he can't be looked at. Of course he can. And even after every inning, if he comes back on the next inning, he throws 4 or 5 pitches. He's not going to give away his pitches there. But in the bullpen, you should be able to watch the starting pitchers and see what's happening. And also with the relievers that come in. Look, they know each other. They know these players. The managers know the other players. It's just that they're put in. It's called situational baseball. And if Arizona's put in a situation where their young team can't scrap back, you're gonna see their faces are longer. They're walking slumped over, a little bit. They're just a young team. They're a good young team. So let's not put them in the grave yet. Let's wait to see what Philly's going to be in with a lot of confidence. They're going to be swinging from their heels. And the good thing about Arizona, if they're going to pitch this game and pitch it good, they need to come in with off-speed stuff and keep the big hitters of Philadelphia on the bench.
Yeah, and that the thing is, defensively, there was some good things that they did. There were some good moments, especially in Game 1 when they lost the game 5-3. They just couldn't get those bats the last couple innings, but there were some good things that the Diamondbacks did in that first game, and I am such a devout Diamondbacks fan that I watched that game 30,000 feet in the air on my plane ride from Jacksonville to Syracuse. So I got on the plane, flew back home, watched the Diamondbacks on television in the air because I refused to miss a game. And I was able to see it. So, all the way to the end. And I feel like, defensively, they made some good moves. I think in the first game, there were certain things that, in the second game, Merritt Kelly, there were some things that, he was doing. It's just those bats kind of ignited. And the thing is, you're in Philadelphia. We know about the crowd, right? You're in Philadelphia. It's loud. It's crazy. They got the towels out. They're constantly, involved in the game. So the atmosphere is against you. And once those bats start going, that's against you. But what Arizona needs to remember, what I want them to remember and think about, is the fact that this is not David versus Goliath. This is you versus the Phillies. You can't look at the Phillies and say, they're supposed to win. They're better than us. They did this last year. They almost won a World Series. You don't have to think about any of that stuff. It's easy to. But the biggest note that I would have for the Arizona Diamondbacks is everybody counted you out up to this point except for you guys. So nobody needs to count you in because you won enough games to get into the postseason without people counting you in. You won the wild card without people counting you in. You won the NLDS against the mighty Dodgers without anybody counting you in. So don't expect people to count you in. You've been the underdog the entire time. Stay the underdog. Appreciate being the underdog. Embrace it. Embrace the chaos. That's their hashtag. Embrace the chaos. You have been the chaos. You are the team that doesn't belong. You're the team that doesn't fit. You're the team that doesn't make sense. You're the team that people didn't expect. So if you're going to have the hashtag embrace the chaos, then you have to embrace yourselves more than anybody else. If you're asking them to embrace it, then you embrace the chaos. Embrace the fact that you're there. Embrace the fact that the Phillies are the team that people expect to win, just like the Dodgers, and before that, just like the Brewers, and do what you did to the other teams. Be who you are, stay poised, stay focused, stay mentally strong, stay mentally tough, and when the bats start going for the Phillies, get those bats going. You've proven at Arizona that you can get those bats going, you can do it early, and you can be that team that doesn't ever go away and doesn't give it up. So even if the Phillies, and this was my concern with this series, because Arizona had been striking first so often, and because they struck first against the Dodgers over and over and over again, I said to myself, when they play a team like the Phillies in Philadelphia, if Philly strikes first, can they stay poised? Can they stay focused? Because their bats have been going before the Dodgers in the prior series. So if your bats don't get going as soon as the other team, and you have to play on the flip side, can you come back? Can you control what you could control? Can you stay focused, stay poised, stay calm? And now that Arizona's going back home, change of scenery, hopefully will be good. I haven't given up on them. I'm never going to give up on them. I told you before we got on the air that I couldn't watch it and I was upset, but the reality is I have gone back and forth, right? I have watched it. I do support them. And it's not even that I'm upset with the Diamondbacks. It's that I want them to do something better than what I would do in the past, which is shut out the outside noise, play your team baseball. You're still the Diamondbacks. You still have the same pitchers. You have the same roster. No matter who you play, you're still the Diamondbacks. And the mighty Dodgers were higher than the Phillies. We're the number 2 seed, and you ran through them without an issue. So all I have to say to Arizona is remember who you are, focus on who you are, shut out the outside noise, and don't buy into the Phillies hype. Embrace the chaos that you've asked us all to embrace. Do it yourselves and be who you are.
Well, that's a good speech, but they still got to play the game, Daniel.
I know.
They still have to play the game. One thing that you realize when players get in this kind of position in the playoffs, noise doesn't mean anything to them. I mean, Arizona may have been rattled because the Phillies fans were so loud. Well, when you're playing left field and running down a fly ball and you couldn't catch it, or you're at bat and you're 1-2 and you're looking for a slider outside and the people are yelling and screaming, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Noise does not bother these guys. The professional players, it doesn't bother them. If they get rattled, then they have a problem internally with themselves. But look at if the Diamondbacks are up 2-1 in an 8th inning, and Kyle Schwarber comes up, and the people are screaming and yelling and waving their flags all over the place, and not going to bother Schwarber at all, not going to bother Trey Turner or any of these guys, just like it's not going to bother the Arizona guys. But the 10-0 game was, I saw that they had some long faces, and things got away from them quickly, and they didn't respond. So, you throw that one away. Neither one of these games are going to be like a 12-9 game or 11-7 or something like that. I assume the rest of the games are going to be close because of pitching. Now, Arizona's got to find a way to pitch tonight, and my prediction is they're going to pitch by committee. That's the only way they can win that game. They're going to have to go with 5 or 6 pitchers if they have to. If they don't, it'd be ideal if their starter would go 4 innings or something like that. But Arizona has to win this game, and they have to do it. Maybe not by the book. They got to maybe do something different. So if they can keep Philadelphia off balance with a pitching by committee or something like that, then they still have a chance. But if they get off to a good start in Arizona and they start yelling and screaming over there, it's not going to make any difference to Philadelphia. They're still going to get up there and still going to swing the bat. 50,000 fans don't hit a fastball.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just focus. I mean, I think, and it was, like I said, it was my concern, and it's still my concern, and maybe it'll help in Arizona, but hopefully it will. But my concern was, the mighty Phillies, you're coming down to crunch time. Can you focus, right? Can the Diamondbacks focus on this series? Can they focus on the task at hand, or will they get caught up in the hype of it? Will they get caught up in the emotion of it? Will they get caught up in the, now it's real, right? Now you're in a place where you're so very close to being there. And that's what I, don't want to happen. I want them to just stay focused, stay poised. May the best team win is what it is. And I know how good the Phillies have been in recent history here. And the Phillies are a really tough test. They're, a very, very difficult test. But at the same time, my hope and my belief is that, this Diamondbacks team has what it takes to make this series interesting, to bring it back home and be who they are. I don't want to believe that, their mind kind of got violated a little bit, that the Phillies got in there, but maybe they did, maybe being in that atmosphere, maybe being, and like you said, 50,000 people don't hit the fastball, but they also, there's something to be said about how fans can affect a game, how fans can affect, a series, and how they can affect where you are. And we always talk about home field or home court advantage. So now that they're in Arizona, now that they have a time to regroup, now they have the time to go back home and reset, hopefully they could do exactly that, because you can't let a team get into your head. You can't let anybody get into your head and rent a loft apartment. And I just was a little concerned that the Arizona Diamondbacks maybe got into this moment and were like, oh my gosh, and you can't do that, because any team who's told they can't get somewhere, eventually there's that moment where they get to a certain point and they can look around and be like, oh my gosh, we're here and we're not supposed to be. You got to stay locked in. You got to stay focused. I mean, this is a team that's had an incredible season already, but they're not done. They're back 2 games in a 4-game series. They're at home in Arizona for the next 3 if they can get it to that point. So my advice to the Arizona Diamondbacks, play your baseball, play your style, and in your mind, play like you're at home every single game. Because even when you're in Philadelphia, you're really not, if in your mind you are focused on baseball. It doesn't matter where you are. You just shut it out. You got the Rookie of the Year on your team in Corbin Carroll. You have pitchers that have shown their worth. You got a rookie pitcher tonight in Fad that's going to be out there doing his thing again. And you have an opportunity to go to the World Series. So all I have to say to the D-backs is be who you've been the whole time. A team that people counted out, but you counted yourselves in. And if anybody needs an example in life of, what do I do when people tell me they hate me or they don't like me or I can't make it? What happens when people stand against me? Well, let the Diamondbacks be an example to you. When people stand against you, it doesn't mean anything. If you don't believe it, who cares? And Arizona hasn't believed anything but themselves. And now I want to see Arizona kind of get their mojo back, get their groove back, and get their focus back, and make this an interesting game, PJ. They don't have to score 11, right? But they got to get out there, and they got to show what they've been doing. They're one of the best defensive teams in baseball, and they've proven that. They're also one of the best teams in stealing bases. So I want to see some more excitement, and I want to see the D-backs be the D-backs. Snakes might toy with you, but eventually they're just looking for that angle where they can bite you in the right spot. So hopefully they'll find the angle tonight.
Well, it'll be an interesting game. But they're playing early because there's football tonight.
Yeah.
And they don't want to go to football. So the game will be at 5 o'clock. We'll see what happens. I'm sure that the other teams, Texas and Houston, will be watching the game too, because they know they'd like to know what's happening. And there's a good chance that either one of those teams will be playing, either one of the teams that are playing now. So I don't look for anything different from Philly. I think they're going to just rear back and swing. And the Arizona's got to play a little bit more. Maybe they got to hit and run a little bit more instead of home run. So, but look, they have managers to do that stuff. They put players in positions to make plays. Let them make plays.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we go from here. Any final notes on baseball before we take a step aside?
Justin, I'm so disappointed in Atlanta and L.A. The way they played. Credits to the Diamondbacks for knocking off the Dodgers. But, geez, I didn't see this coming from Atlanta. My goodness. I mean, in my opinion, they got the best player in baseball in the National League, which is Ronald Acuna, going to win the MVP. And they had the guy leading the league in home runs and RBIs and Olsen. They couldn't do anything. They looked like they were a rookie team out there. When you're in, sometimes these guys, sometimes they read too much about themselves. Oh, this guy does this, this guy does this, this guy does this. And, it just sort of upsets the apple cart a little bit. Well, look at every game starts 0-0. And frankly, every batter starts 0-0. Not 300 or 25 homers and 150 RBIs. That's not the way it is. Every bat is crucial. And for Atlanta to lay down like that, even against a Philly team that they knew and wasn't as good at pitching and hitting as Philly, they didn't have it. And then, so here we are with two teams that really shouldn't be there because of what we thought about. I thought, especially with L.A. and Atlanta, I thought they're going to walk through what they were going to do and play for the National League pennant. That's not what happened. So they got to sit back and think about what happened and what they didn't do in certain situations. So the two teams that are playing now are the best in the National League, and we just have to watch them play ball. That's all.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here as, the battle for Texas happens on one side with the ALCS, and in the NLCS we have Philadelphia versus Arizona, the East Coast versus the West Coast, respectively. So we will see as two games will go on tonight, and the series will continue on forward from here as long as they need to in the best of 7 that we are at right now. And we will see the Diamondbacks on tonight. We'll see them, and we'll see them tomorrow night. If they are to win either one of these games, the Diamondbacks will also be playing on my birthday. So they'll be playing on my birthday at 8:07 p.m. Eastern Time on TBS. Just to let people know that. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When PJ and I come back, we will shift gears into college football. We'll talk about what's going on because PJ was off last week from the show, so we'll get his thoughts on the college football world. We'll take a look at the rankings of college football so I can get angry and PJ can laugh, and we'll have a good time with all of that. So we'll look at that. We'll look at the schedule. We'll look how things are going, and then obviously we'll make our picks for the upcoming week in college football, this being week 8, and then we'll shift to the NFL and do our NFL Week 7 picks, and from there we'll talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's all coming up on the PJ Takeover, Papa Joe and myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with you worldwide on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout central and upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning. We, of course, are here on the broadcast, and always happy on a Thursday to welcome the grand old smooth one, the Go-So, the PJ, the Papa Joe, whatever you want to call him. What did my grandma say? Call me whatever you want, just don't swear at me. That's what my grandma always said. So Papa Joe here on the show today, and happy to have him here with us always weekly on the broadcast. We were off last week as I was pulling double duty and doing wake-up call specials that you all got to watch, and at the same time down in New York City. Hard to believe it was a week ago, but I was down in New York City last week for 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, for Super Powered Pop to network and build relationships in the entertainment, illustration, and writing world, as well as to see some cool things, see some new things, take some pictures, get some video, and all that good stuff. So I got a ton of things that we're going to be doing on Super Powered Pop. So it is another show in Dan Tortora Broadcast Media, and I would love it if you could go and give that a follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's at Super Powered Pop. That's Super Powered, Powered, Pop, Super Powered Pop. So make sure you go and do that today. And I appreciate everybody that supports the show and has supported the show. So many thanks. You can also search us on YouTube and find us there as well. So a lot of good stuff coming up here. It's time to jump into college football. And we did get a question coming in from Greg. Is Trevor Lawrence playing tonight? If so, what kind of performance are we going to see from him against a pretty solid Saints defense? Well, they did sign Nathan Rourke again, which to me was a sign of security, right? Because you bring in another quarterback when Trevor has, is announced as having a knee injury, and then you go and sign a quarterback within the next couple days. That to me says something. Definitely says something, right? They already have somebody backing him up, but they brought in Nathan Rourke, brought him back onto the team. It's a knee sprain. There's optimism that he can play. This might be something that, Doug Peterson just holds on to until the last possible second. So, we shall see. I mean, if we talk about kind of where things are at, we look at this. He hasn't missed a game in his NFL career, with this being his third season. And, he has a long run of games played. Now, he's been hampered by a knee sprain that happened toward the end of the Jaguars' 37-20 victory over the Colts that I was there for. We had the opportunity to talk with Trevor after the fact, and, he was standing up at that podium, and we were having a nice conversation. He's listed as questionable, but he said, quote, "I'm going to do everything I can to be out there. I feel a lot better today than I would have thought. I think I'm progressing, and I'm going to do everything I can to be out there on Thursday," end quote. The offensive coordinator, Press Taylor, said that the training staff would make the final decision. He said, quote, as long as Trevor's in a position where he can't injure himself, or as long as he gives us the best chance to win the game and without risking himself or whatever that may be, then that's what we continue to do, end quote. So, they're watching this thing, making sure that he doesn't get himself hurt. C.J. Beathard came out for the final snaps there to be in victory formation, and Nathan Rourke is back on the team, like I said, bringing him from the practice squad to the active roster. So he's there just in case, which obviously is a sign that potentially Trevor could not play in this game, or maybe not play as much in this game, but you got to have an insurance policy. I know we're going to talk about the NFL in a little while, PJ, but are you hearing anything down in North Florida?
Well, I saw that interview yesterday that Dunkin' Donuts had, that he was mic'd up on the game. He looked pretty solid to me. He sounded good, and the things that he's going to play, Daniel. Come on, the kid hasn't missed a game since he's been in the pros, and he'll play. He'll play. He may not, run the ball, which he shouldn't anyway. Yeah. But instead of him maybe sneaking off 4 or 5 yards every once in a while, he just ought to go down. But I think you're gonna see the offensive open up a little bit. They need to get to the wide receivers a little bit better than they are. He's dialed in with Ridley already, but Ridley can still stretch the field, and they need to get some long stuff going. He may be throwing for good percentages and a lot of passes, a lot of completions, but he didn't throw for a lot of yards, in my opinion. He needs the other wide receivers to step in. So I'm sure that Beathard has been working with the first team, but I believe that Trevor will play.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we don't see him at all. I don't know if we're going to see him necessarily for, the whole thing. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I would be surprised if we didn't see Trevor for a little bit. And I just think, like we both talked about, he has started every game. He's played in every game since he's come in to the league. So I don't imagine that, we're not going to see him tonight, and again, I mean, he wasn't in anything, it's a knee sprain. He wasn't in a brace. He didn't have ice or anything on it. He was at the podium standing there with shorts and a t-shirt on when we spoke to him. So, and if it was something really crazy, they might have said like, oh, he's not talking to the media today or whatever that may be. So, I'm cautious, and I think the team is cautious based on what Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator, said, and they should be. But I also like their mentality of saying, hey, like, we'll put him out there as long as he's not going to injure himself, as long as we're not, putting him in a position that's not good for him and his body. Because, other teams would be like, yeah, he's our quarterback. We're going to throw him out there, like if he gets knocked out, whatever. And, in the case of Trevor, for them to say, hey, we want to make sure that we're not putting him in harm's way, so to speak. I respect that tremendously from the Jaguars and expect nothing less from an organization that I've respected for such a long time. So, hopefully things will go well. I would imagine he's going to play, and, we're going to have a good game tonight. So, Trevor's a trooper, and, you can't honestly say that. I mean, think about when he was at Clemson. Evan Foster from Syracuse knocked him out of a game, right? And by the sideline. Clean hit, but knocked him out of a game. And beyond me thinking of that moment, I don't really know if I can think of a time where Trevor was out, except for when they told him he couldn't play when he had been around someone who had COVID. And then the Notre Dame Fighting Irish won the game, and 10,000 fans stormed the field. And we were all talking about social distancing and having a mask on. And here's Trevor with a mask on, not allowed to play, and 10,000 fans are running by his face, banging into him. And I thought, wow, okay, preferential treatment for Notre Dame a little bit. And what is this COVID? We can't be around each other, but we're going to let them storm the field when we don't let one guy play the game. So it was definitely interesting. But, I mean, Trevor's usually out there. He's usually playing. And I think the biggest thing is if this is a serious thing that could knock him out for the rest of the season, Jacksonville, I would imagine, is going to be smart on this. And if not, then he'll play. But the insurance policy of bringing up Nathan Rourke from the practice squad and already having CJ Beathard is a move that I'm paying very close attention to. I saw that move and I thought to myself, okay, maybe they're a little concerned. But ultimately, we'll see what happens. This team's got a lot of talent, a lot of good guys. CJ Beathard's been in the system and he's been around for a minute with Trevor, and that's going to be helpful too. So we'll see, Papa Joe, but, I would imagine we're going to see Trevor out there at least in the beginning of the game, and hopefully he's healthy enough to go the whole way.
Well, this is a game that I think, without them saying it, I think the defense has to win. If Lawrence plays, say, half the game, or he's crippled, or he's not moving as well as he should, and the game is 10-7 or 13-10 or something like that, this is the game that you got to rely on your defense to win. And well, we saw it last week where they just knocked the heck out of Minshew. So Minshew threw for a lot of yards too, but they didn't break.
Yeah.
This is a game that, and I'm sure the defensive team is thinking, hey, our stud may not be able to be 100%, so we got to win the game. Go after the ball, cover fumbles, hit hard, intercept passes, do what you got to do. So that's what I think will happen.
Yeah, and we'll see. We'll see as we get closer to it, and obviously I'll be monitoring that as well in my coverage of the Jaguars. You're going to be able to listen back to all my one-on-ones with the Jacksonville Jaguars in individual interviews that are going to be airing right after the show today. You already heard them on Tuesday's broadcast. You'll be able to dial them up on any one of your podcasting platforms, so make sure that you pay attention to that today. And if you haven't already, make sure that you go to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, or TuneIn, as well as YouTube, and like and follow Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. If you follow me, then you'll be updated whenever I put a new broadcast up, so you won't miss the broadcast and you won't miss out on whenever something gets loaded up to these sites. So make sure you follow us and like us on these platforms so you can go back and listen to all those Jaguars interviews with the team being 4-2 and having regrouped and refocused like we spoke about going into their London trip, and on a 3-game winning streak. Darius Williams in this 3-game winning streak has an interception in every single one of those 3 games. We'll see if that can continue tonight. So, PJ, let's jump into college football. We have... Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
How do you remember all those sites?
Well, number one, I trust my memory, and number two, I have a graphic up here, so I have that up as well to help people out. But the way that you remember it is, if I go alphabetical, then you try to remember the logos in your face. I try to have that photographic memory. So if I say Amazon Music, then I know Audible's next to that, then I know iHeart's next to that, and then iTunes, and then when you go to the next line, you know that Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, you know that those are all in a row and in alphabetical order. So, yeah,
Okay.
That's what I would say. So, what'd you say?
That's all right. We're good in college. I just needed to know that. I mean, you do it so quickly that I know you got to memorize, but hell, I don't even know half of them what they are. Right,
But no, I mean, and I'll do it with phone numbers too. Like I don't have phone, and I got asked this a long time ago in my first home studio. I got asked that years and years ago. They were like, "Do you have a Post-it note that tells you like the phone numbers of all the places?" And I was like, "No." They said, "How do you remember?" I'm like, "I just do." Avicoli's 315-622-5100. Like, I mean, it's just something that I thank God for and appreciate, and hope I have it my whole life, because I love my brain. And when you get your brain to work for you and not against you, that's a good thing. And mental health is important, so take care of yourselves, people. Looking at college football, there are 8 undefeated teams left. They're all ranked in the top 10. The 8 undefeated teams left are Georgia at 7-0, Michigan at 7-0, Ohio State at 6-0, Florida State at 6-0, Washington at 6-0, Oklahoma at 6-0, Penn State at 6-0, and North Carolina at 6-0. North Carolina has defeated a ranked Miami team 41-31, and North Carolina's played all of their games except for one of those games at home, which was against Pittsburgh on the road. So North Carolina's had a Big Ten schedule, basically, getting to play all these games at home. Penn State is 6-0. They have not played, they played ranked Iowa and defeated them 31-0. Outside of that, they have not played a single ranked team this season. We take a look at Oklahoma. Oklahoma has played Texas and beat them 34-30. All the other teams that they have faced have been unranked. And when we look at the Washington Huskies, they played ranked Oregon, who I think was ranked too high, but they beat them 36-33. They haven't played another ranked team besides that. Looking at Florida State, who I consider to be the number one team in the country, even though they're not ranked as such, they have defeated ranked LSU, and then they played a bunch of other unranked teams. However, they played Clemson 31-24 in a big-time game. Ohio State has played one ranked team this year. We're ranked way too high, and they always are, Notre Dame, and they beat Notre Dame 17-14. Michigan has not played a single ranked team this season. East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Indiana. And apparently that makes you the number 2 team in the nation when you play a schedule that if Syracuse had, they wouldn't even be ranked in the top 25. And then Georgia has defeated a ranked Kentucky, and they haven't played any other ranked teams. And they have played at Auburn and at Vanderbilt. So again, I think the most battle-tested team in this top 10 arguably is Florida State, which I think should be the number 1 ranked team in the country. But I'd love to get your thoughts, PJ. The rankings in the coaches poll and the AP are exactly the same, 1 through 5. Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Washington. Agree or disagree?
Oh, I got to say disagree, because I think the Big Ten teams are ranked too high. But, I keep saying that. You keep saying that. The pundits don't say that. They just look at this. They just look at the games. Oh, Ohio State scored 30 points and 35 points, and Michigan scored 80 points and that kind of stuff. I don't listen to that. You gotta look at who they play and where they play them. Now, with Penn State coming to Ohio State this weekend, maybe we'll see what both of these teams are made of. If Penn State gets run out of the joint, they're going to be they'll probably be number 20. And then you got Tennessee and Alabama, both ranked, 17 and 11. Alabama would be the favorite there, and if Alabama wins, Tennessee's out of the 25. So there aren't really that many good games to watch. I do have a whole list of them here, but sometimes I get confused about what I'm thinking about. Florida State, and I hate to be redundant about things, but you and I saw this coming 3 years ago. And now that it's fruition, I can definitely see that the Florida State is probably the best team in the country. I don't know right now if they can beat Georgia, because they really haven't been tested. Jordan Daniels hasn't been knocked on his ass a few times. That's what needs to happen with a guy like him. FSU is going to stay sharp, at least until the Florida game. Well, they're going to play North Carolina sometime. I don't know when, but that'll be a good test. But the Florida game will probably be one that will probably put them at the very top, because I think the rest of the teams are going to flounder. It's very difficult as a pundit to look at these games and try to figure out what section of the country or what conference is better than the others.
Yeah.
And when I watched Washington and Oregon the other day, I loved it, the way they ran up and down the field. I knew that was going to happen. I mean, we could see it coming. Washington scores 1,000,000 points. Oregon scores 1,000,000 points. That was fun. I mean, and they play fast, which is, one of my favorite ways of watching football. They don't play fast run right. They just play fast. So that was unbelievable. other than that, really, when you get two teams that are good defensively, good offensively, and from a strong conference, and they play the same teams, and you can measure things like the SEC, you can come up with some scenarios. Florida has the weekend off after a very good win at South Carolina in the last minute with Graham Wirtz throwing for 423 yards. Now, Georgia looked at that game and says, whoops, I don't want to see that Florida team 2 weeks from now. Florida has the week off. They do every year before the Georgia game, and they still wind up losing to Georgia. So I don't know what Billy Napier can do different to try to beat Georgia. But if anyone's going to beat Georgia in their schedule, it's going to be Florida. So Georgia has a little weakness. They don't look as strong as I thought they would be, although Carson Beck he's a bigger version of Stetson. He's 6'3", 220, can throw the hell out of the ball. Like him a lot. So I'm looking forward to some of the games, but not a lot of them. I think the Penn State-Ohio State game is probably going to be the game to watch for the pundits who are looking for a strong team in the country. And, of course, Duke and Florida State, even though that's supposed to be a good game, won't be a good game because Duke, just player-wise, it can't match up with the speed that Florida State's got. You got Utah and USC, both teams in the top 20. Utah looked real good at the beginning of the year when they beat Florida. USC's laid an egg last week, so we'll just see how good Caleb Williams is now.
Yeah.
So we got some games to talk about.
Yeah, we do. And I do want to make a note here, and I want to apologize to Liberty and to Air Force. They are also undefeated, so my apologies on not making a note of that. Air Force is ranked 22 in the country at 6-0. They defeated Robert Morris, Sam Houston, Utah State, San Jose State, San Diego State, and Wyoming. So basically they played a Michigan schedule, but they don't get ranked 2. They get ranked 22. And then Liberty, who's 7-0, is not ranked at all because disrespect just runs. I mean, you got to keep enough spots for the Big Ten. They got 14 teams right now. You got to give them at least 7 to 8 spots, right? They do that every year for no apparent reason. And teams like Liberty get pushed on the wayside. Liberty's in the Conference USA for the first time ever, and they're 7-0. They're already bowl eligible, and they have been wonderful. I mean, think about what they've done and think about the success that Liberty has had. I got to watch them come to the Dome in back-to-back years, and, I got to say that they've definitely done a lot of great things. And Jamie Chadwell is their head coach right now, and they may, people look at their success, and you're like, well, Hugh Freeze did it. And now Hugh Freeze is, gone from Liberty, obviously, and they're still winning with Chadwell, and they're 7-0. So I think they should deserve to be ranked bare minimum in the top 25 at 25. But you got to have a 2-loss UCLA team in there for no reason, and you got to have an Iowa team in there that's 6-1, and you got to, put these other teams in that have multiple losses. I mean, LSU 5-2. They got to put them there. Notre Dame is 6-2. This is Notre Dame's schedule. They beat Navy, unranked. They beat Tennessee State. Raise your hand if you knew that was a school. Unranked. They beat NC State, unranked. They beat Central Michigan, unranked. They lost by 3 to Ohio State at home. They defeated Duke 21-14, which is a good game, and they lost to Louisville. And then they beat USC, who's ranked way too high. I mean, USC, again, we look at, and I don't know what it is about the Pac-12. I don't know if it's like a swan song. We feel sorry for you guys. But Washington's ranked high. Oregon's ranked high. USC's ranked high. USC lost by 28 points, and they were considered the number 10 team in the nation. And they lost by 28. But what does that do? It makes Notre Dame look good, right? Notre Dame beat a top 10 team. No, they didn't. They beat a team that was ranked top 10. They didn't beat a top 10 caliber team. They beat a team that happened to be ranked 10th in the nation at the time. I mean, if we're going to make rankings, folks, why don't we start doing it where we're actually voting for teams where maybe we've watched the games, maybe we've paid attention to what they've done, maybe we're not doing this based on personal bias or somebody saying something to us about something, or, the movie Rudy being a really good movie, or Ohio State had good quarterbacks like 20 years ago. I mean, yeah, I like C.J. Stroud in the NFL right now, but beyond him, who's been there? I mean, a lot of these guys changed position to wide receiver because they weren't making it in that respect in the NFL. Notre Dame hasn't had a good quarterback in a million years, and the only one that they have had recently is Sam Hartman, and that's because they went and took him in the transfer portal from Wake Forest. It's not like they found him on their own. He was already a proven product at Wake Forest. So, I mean, looking at these rankings, all I can say is I apologize to Air Force and I apologize to Liberty because you are undergoing, and it's not my thing to apologize for, but I'm apologizing because the powers that be will not apologize to you that you're not ranked here because they have to fill spots with Pac-12 and Big Ten schools because they pander toward them instead of giving respect. If you're undefeated halfway through the season, you should be ranked in the top 25. There's 10 teams in the nation that are unranked, and there's 25 spots. And you're telling me that you can't find a place for Liberty? That's despicable. It's deplorable, and it's wrong. So, with that being said, let's jump into the schedule. Because we're at the midpoint of the season, we have games on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, and on Saturday all throughout the day. So think about it like this, PJ. The NFL gives us Thursday night football, then they give us Sunday and Monday. College football gives us Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So there's not a day of the week where there's not a football game on at this point in the season. What are your thoughts on the first game that we're going to talk about, which will be Penn State at Ohio State? It looks like the battle of two top 7 teams, but they do this every year. They rank Penn State high, they rank Ohio State high, and as long as they stay undefeated or lose one game minimum, they will keep them in the top 10 or keep them in the top 13 to make this game look like it is a massive national game, when in actuality, it's two Big Ten schools that haven't really been battle-tested facing off against each other for the rights to stay in the top 7 when neither of them have deserved to be in the top 7 up to this point. What are your thoughts? Oh, PJ, can you hear us?
Hold it, Daniel.
Okay. So we got waiting on PJ's audio here, but we're going to discuss.
I got a problem with it. Hold on a minute.
Okay. Yeah, no worries. So what we'll do is we'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll come with Penn State, Ohio State right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets life. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our
corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports meets life. You are watching and listening on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're tuning in to Wake Up Call, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around this spinning rock that we call Earth, I appreciate you being here with us. And if the aliens are listening, I come in peace, and I hope you do too. So we appreciate you listening as well on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We're here with Papa Joe. We're jumping into our college football picks, so I'm going to go ahead and bring the board up. And PJ, first game, Penn State, Ohio State. What are your thoughts?
Well, this really should be a defensive battle. But I think, for the first time in maybe 5 years, I'm going to give Ohio State credit because they actually are a good team this year, and I think they can. They have both defense and offense. I think that they win this game easily. I don't think Penn State is near what they're ranked. I mean, let's face it. I like Ohio State in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ohio State in the matchup as well. Of all the Big Ten teams that get ranked way too high, way too soon, and they stay up there. Basically, this is how it works in the Big Ten. You get ranked in the top 10, top 15, and as long as you keep winning, you either stay or you keep moving up. So they get set up in the beginning that basically it's like, hey, if you win your games, we're going to leave you at the top. That doesn't happen for a bunch of other schools, but it happens for the Big Ten. The only team that can really back that up in recent history, in my opinion, has been Ohio State. So Ohio State right now, who's only played Notre Dame, who again I think was ranked way too high. All the other teams they played were unranked and they didn't have trouble with anybody. So I'm going to put Ohio State in the victory here because I do think that they're better than Penn State. So I am going to give them the win and agree with you on that, PJ, that I'm going to have Ohio State move it on in this one with another victory. UCF at Oklahoma. This is the Big Ten. This is what UCF wanted. Oklahoma is going to be in the SEC next year, which is probably great for UCF. But at least for this one season, this is a Big 12 matchup. UCF is a newbie. Oklahoma is a team with one foot out the door. What do you think about this one?
Well, I think Oklahoma has athletes. I watched them a couple weeks ago in a serious effort. I think that they win this game easy.
Yeah, I have same thing in this one. I have Oklahoma in this matchup. I think UCF, and what I don't understand about UCF and about Cincinnati and about Houston is if you stayed in the American Athletic Conference and the college football playoff expands to 12, you now have an opportunity in the expanded college football playoff to have a direct shot from the American Athletic Conference right into the college football playoff. And by doing what they did and by leaving, now you've made it ever so hard for yourself to get into the college football playoff. You put yourself behind the 8 ball if you're a UCF or you're a Cincinnati or you're a Houston. So I don't know why they did it. I think a game like this is, potentially one of those games where UCF maybe thinks about that. But, money talks to these people, and when money is the only reason why you made it or the main reason why you made it, it's doomed to fail when you make decisions based on money and money alone. So UCF, I got them losing this game. I respect UCF, but I don't see how they find a way out of this one. Like I said, they've been humbled. They've played 3 games in the Big 12, and they've lost all 3 of them. 44-31 at Kansas State, 38-35 against Baylor, and 51-22 on the road at Kansas. So it's not going to get any easier for UCF. And like I said, I feel like they should have stayed in the American where they had a path to the college football playoff. Now, I don't see how they will ever have a path with Utah and Arizona State coming in and all that good stuff. So I don't see how it's going to happen, but they made the decision. You'll see them at noon on ABC. Next game we have up, PJ. This is a battle of two military respected programs, and Air Force at Navy. This is a big-time game. Navy's done some good things this year under Brian Newberry. They're 3-3 right now. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and they've won 3 of their last 5 games. Air Force is undefeated at number 22 in the nation, but this is one of those games where they're playing for a lot more than just wins and losses when the military installments play each other. So what do you have for Air Force at Navy?
Well, I like Air Force, but, these two teams, actually, they graduate players, and they should be on the pinnacle of everyone's list to talk about college sports, not college football. Albeit these two teams are never very large. The defensive lines are not 300 pounds like they are in the SEC, and the offensive lines are not 290 like they are in the Big Ten. These teams play with smaller guys. They're athletic, and which is why they get pushed around by bigger teams. But when they're playing each other, it's a pretty fair, even match. This game really is an even game. I think it's an even game. I got Air Force to squeak by, but I think it'll be a pick'em game by the time it comes.
Yeah, the good thing about this Navy team this year is we have seen them score. I mean, it hasn't been as more often than not they're doing it. There's been a couple games where they really struggled, but outside of that, we've seen them score 24 points twice, 30 points, and 27 as well as, and then in the other games they scored 3 and 14, and they went 1-1 in those games. I think Navy's got something here that could be special. I really do. I think this could be a bowl team this year. So, Air Force Navy, I'm going to pick the upset here. I'm going to pick the Navy midshipman in Brian Newberry, who I've spent some time with on the broadcast. I'm going to pick them over Air Force to hand Air Force their first loss of the season. I think Air Force is a good team. The game is at Navy in Annapolis, Maryland at noon Eastern time on CBS, and you should be watching that game on my birthday. After you wish me a happy birthday, go watch the game. So the next one that we have up here, you and I talked about this off the air, PJ, that Arkansas is a pretty darn good team in the SEC. Even though they're 2-5, I don't think the record adequately states what they've been doing to kind of push teams, to push the Alabamas of the world. Arkansas is hosting Mississippi State at noon Eastern time on ESPN. Mississippi State's 3-3. Arkansas is 2-5. What do you got?
I saw Arkansas play Alabama, and they gave them all sorts of fits. I like Arkansas in this game. I think that that game, is the midpoint of their season, and they should be, even though they lost to a better team, but they played them tough, and I like Arkansas.
We're both going with Arkansas in this matchup as well. They almost got the best. Alabama squeaked by a couple games this season that could have easily put them in disaster territory with 2 losses. You look at Arkansas, they were on the road at Ole Miss, and they lost by a touchdown. On the road at Alabama, they lost by a field goal. And on the road at LSU, they lost by a field goal in that game as well. They've been very close at games. BYU is within a touchdown. Of all of their losses this season, they've all been a touchdown difference or less, except for the Texas A&M game where they lost in that game by 12 points. So besides that, they've played these teams close, including Alabama. So I got Arkansas winning this game because those games that I told you were close that they lost on the road. This one's at home. So I'm going to go with Arkansas in this matchup. Next game that we have up here that I want to discuss, PJ, Washington State at Oregon. Washington State is 4-2. They're on a 2-game losing streak at UCLA and at home against Arizona. On the other side of it, we have Oregon, who's ranked in the top 9 after defeating unranked, and then beating Colorado, and then unranked, and then losing to Washington, who was ranked. Do you believe in the Oregon Ducks, and who do you think is going to win the game?
After watching the Oregon play Washington, Oregon can score on anyone. They're an amazing football team, just like they did against Colorado. This guy, the coach, I'm really not too familiar with him, but he's got an offensive mind, and he's got the players. They play fast, and they got Bo Nix, who I watched play in the South. I think they win this game. And Oregon is not an easy team to play, Daniel. A defensive team thinks they can play Oregon, ain't going to work. Oregon wins.
Yeah. Oregon, looking at their scoring, like you said, they can score. They have scored their lowest total that they have this season is 33 points. And that was in a loss. They had 33 up against Washington's 36. In their other games, all victories, they scored 42, 42, 55, 38, and 81 points. The Oregon Ducks are a team that offensively maybe should have went to the Big 12 because you don't have to play defense there. And the Oregon Ducks have definitely shown me that they are a team, a force to be reckoned with. They're ranked high right now, and I'd like to see them against some better competition. But what they have shown me is whoever straps up against them, their worst game is 33 points. That says something. Oregon Ducks, I got them winning this one and moving forward to be 6-1 and bowl eligible this season. Next game we got up, PJ, Tennessee at Alabama. Alabama has one loss, and they have squeaked by in a couple games, like I said. Tennessee has lost to your Florida Gators, and beyond that, they don't have a loss. They're looking to be bowl eligible after defeating Virginia, Austin Peay, UTSA, South Carolina, and Texas A&M. On the other side of it, the Alabama roll tide, roll some tide, and you better roll tide. The Alabama Crimson Tide have defeated Middle Tennessee, lost to Texas by 10, with a preview of Texas joining the SEC and what that could look like. Defeated South Florida, Ole Miss, Mississippi State on the road, Texas A&M on the road, and Arkansas at home. Their game against Texas A&M, they won by just 6 points. Their game against Arkansas, they won by just 3. Their game on the road at South Florida, a team who hasn't been good in many years but is trying to get back on it with Coach Golish taking over, they only won that game 17-3. Alabama has been dancing with that potential second loss. Do they get it in this game or not?
Alabama, for the first time in recent memories, does not have a quarterback. They got three. One of them, I can't say run of the mill, but they got 3 eligible quarterbacks. And this kid Milrow, who I thought 2 weeks ago did a heck of a job, he threw well, sort of like against Arkansas, but then he didn't throw well. He didn't complete 50% of his passes. Tennessee is a good football team, and frankly, they should have beat Florida. But with Alabama playing as poor as they're playing for them, this game is at home. But I look for Tennessee as an upset here, Daniel.
Ooh.
I'm really going on a limb. I didn't think I would do that, but I'm going to go on a limb here because Tennessee is well coached and they have good players, and they can play with them.
PJ going Tennessee. I was writing down Bama. I thought he was going to go with Alabama. PJ decides that he's going with the Tennessee Volunteers and the Alabama Crimson Tide being at home. This is a really tough game for me. But again, you look at Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. What do they have in common? They both once worked together on the Cleveland Browns when the Cleveland Browns were an atrocious franchise. They were so bad back then. Who would have thunk it that you would have both of these coaches on the same staff and then the team wouldn't be that good, now seeing what Belichick and Nick Saban have done. But Nick Saban and Bill Belichick, as much as they get that respect and that clout for all that they've done, look at Bill Belichick without a quarterback this year. And what is he? 1-5. Look at Nick Saban without a proven quarterback who's your dominant guy. And where is he right now? Close to being knocked out of the college football playoff. So as good as these coaches are, the reality is, if you don't have a quarterback to lean on, you don't have much. And as good as these coaches have been, and as much as we talk about them being the gurus, without a Tom Brady, Bill Belichick is floundering. And Nick Saban, without the Tuas and it's ironic, but the Mac Jones of life, because Mac Jones is struggling with New England, but without the Tuas and the Jalen Hurtses and the so on and so forth, we're not seeing Alabama the way that we've seen Alabama. Two extremely well-respected coaches struggling at the quarterback position, which has affected the team overall, showing you just how important that position is. I'm going to go in this game, and I'm going to Seacrest this thing for as long as I can. So I'm going to do it like Ryan Seacrest. Here we go. Let's see if I can do it like Ryan Seacrest. Today, I will be picking Tennessee versus Alabama. Tennessee, a strong team. Alabama, also a strong team. Tennessee with Josh Heupel, a coach that I have covered for a long time, and the Nick Saban side. I've interviewed Nick Saban, and I've had the opportunity to speak with him on the biggest stage of the college football playoff. So I will be going with, in this matchup, I will tell you right after this. No, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to go ahead and go with, in this, I'm going to give the slight squeak. I'm going to give the squeak to, oh, this is so hard. I think I'm going to go with, see, I went one way and now I'm thinking the other way. This is literally a pick'em game because I'm sitting here struggling with it. I'm going to go with Tennessee in this game. I was going to go Alabama, but I'm going to agree with PJ on my birthday. I'm going to go with Tennessee in this matchup, and let's see what happens. Alabama, they've been like literally right on the line of losing their second game for 2 weeks in a row, and now you got to play Tennessee coming into town. So I think there's a little bit of a danger zone. I'm not going to be surprised if Alabama squeaks by, but I feel like that second loss has been right there, and it might happen this week. Next game up, PJ. This game was not carried by Disney. Disney didn't want this game. They didn't want it on ESPN. They didn't want it on ABC, allegedly. They threw this over to the CW network. Even though the team's undefeated, North Carolina will not be playing on a Disney-owned network channel. They'll be playing on the CW. Virginia at North Carolina. North Carolina ranked 10th in the country. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. What do you got?
Well, North Carolina really is setting the college game on its ears. I didn't think it would be near this good this year. And because of that, they're playing at home. So I like North Carolina here.
Yeah, I'm going with North Carolina in this one. I think North Carolina's in a place right now where North Carolina and Duke are fighting for who's going to play Florida State in the ACC championship. If it happened today, it would be North Carolina. So we shall see as we go forward here. Let's do the lane train, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The lane train pulls into War Eagle, Auburn, going into Alabama to face off against the Auburn Tigers. Do the Ole Miss Rebels get a victory here, ranked 13th in the nation, or does Auburn spoil the lane train?
I think Mississippi just too tough for Auburn. Auburn is not, last couple of years, hasn't played up to their potential. Because I always think of Auburn, Alabama being, one of the SEC games of the year. That's not happening lately. And the reason is because the other teams are getting better. And Ole Miss is one of those teams. Ole Miss.
Yeah, I got Ole Miss in this matchup as well. I just feel like the lane train is doing what he needs to do to get to where he needs to be. There's some games that I picked them to upset teams, and they haven't come through, but this one's not an upset. I have them winning it. It'll make them bowl eligible this season. They lost to Alabama by 14 on the road. They defeated LSU at home in a shootout, 55-49, and they defeated a ranked Tulane on the road at Tulane. That's a good victory because Tulane's a lot better than people give them credit for. They won that game 37-20. So I'm going to go with Ole as well, the Ole Miss team. I will be picking them. A lot of these big-time ranked games are going to be happening at nighttime. PJ's going to have to stay awake for some of these games that are going to be coming up later on in the night. So I'm going to wait on this one. Let's do Army at LSU. Army has had themselves a good season. Army, well, record-wise, they have it. Let me put it to you like this. Army has done some things. They played a tough game against Boston College. They played a pretty good game against Syracuse for the first half, definitely, and they defeated UTSA on the road. So Army is still got some work to do, an uphill climb at 2-4, but they're going to go in and play LSU, and LSU's been up and down. Does LSU get spoiled, or do they become bowl eligible in this game?
I like LSU. I think you're going to see the discrepancy between the size of the players and the way the SEC plays against other teams. They're just too big and too strong, I think, LSU.
Yeah, I'm going to go with LSU in this game as well. You know, it's funny because looking at the record of Army, I feel like they're a better team than their record shows them. But we'll see. I mean, they're trying this new offense. They're trying to change things. It didn't work at Georgia Tech. I don't know if it's going to work at Army, but, you know, we shall see. I got LSU winning the game, especially at home. Utah at USC. Two teams ranked in the top 18 in the Pac-12. Why? I don't know. But they are. So USC is playing Utah. I will give Utah credit that they typically play spoiler to the USCs and the Oregons of the world when they're trying to make the college football playoff, and they have to face Utah at the end of the season, and Utah ends up bumping them out. Utah's on the road. USC's at home. What do you got?
Well, last week Caleb Williams didn't play up to his Heisman potential. He frankly laid an egg. He had 3 interceptions. I don't know why that game was in there. Came out like that. I mean, he's not. After watching him for a year and a half, he seems like he's really unflappable. But I think he comes back on the track here. This kid's exceptionally talented, and he's a bigger version of Young from Carolina, who played at Alabama. He's bigger and stronger than Young, and he's going to be a hell of an NFL quarterback. And because of that, I think he wins this game easy.
Yeah, Utah's been a spoiler, and this game is at home at USC. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be interesting, and I think this is one you should definitely listen or watch. But I'm going to give USC the slight edge in this matchup. Caleb Williams could be the number 1 pick of this upcoming NFL draft, and I got to see him live at the Cotton Bowl January 2nd in the beginning of this year when he played phenomenal, and they still lost to the Tulane Green Wave. Shout out to Willie Fritz and the crew, and Tajay Spears, who's now a running back for the Tennessee Titans. Next, and my guy Patrick Jenkins and Michael Pratt and so on and so forth at Tulane. Moving on from here, PJ, Clemson at Miami. Clemson is 4-2. Miami is, at this point, also 4-2. Miami has not won a game in the ACC. Those are their only 2 losses. Clemson is 2-2 in the ACC, having played a lot of ACC games early, including their loss to Duke. What do you have for Clemson at Miami?
Well, I'd like to see the Clemson of old come up here. I think that they have the team to do it, even though they're playing at Miami. I like Clemson in this game for an upset. This is really a pick'em game, really, but it's got like Clemson.
Yeah, I got to go with Miami in this matchup, being at home. The tickets, believe this or not, PJ, with everything down in Miami and things being expensive in certain places, it's only $18 to go to this game. So Clemson, and who would have thunk Clemson at Miami would be $18 when that was your ACC championship, you know, in recent history. So I'm going to go with Miami in this one. Clemson gets their 3rd loss. Tough, but I got Miami at home. I just think they're going to do too much. Last game I want to hit here, unless you got one that I missed, PJ, is I want to go to the Duke at Florida State game. Duke is ranked 16th in the nation. Florida State is 4th. I still think Florida State is the best team in the country right now. I think it's between them and Georgia, in my opinion, but I think Florida State's been more battle-tested than Georgia up to this point. Duke only has 1 loss. It's to Notre Dame by 7 at home. And that was an interesting game, though, because Riley Leonard, who's a quarterback that I've known for a while, consider him a friend, he gets hurt in this game. And, you know, in this Notre Dame game, when this game could have been closed out, Duke could have won it. So they could very well be 6-0 right now. Florida State is 6-0. Who's going to win the game?
Well, you know, we've been tooting the horn for Florida State for a while, and there's no reason for them to lose this game. The only comment I'd like to make is that Duke played Notre Dame tough, and Notre Dame won. Now, you're going to see Florida State beat a good Duke team, and you're going to beat them rather easily. And then you can determine how good Notre Dame is if they just got by Duke by 7 points. That's how I equate things when I do some handicapping. If Florida State they're going to run away with this game. This is not going to be a close game, Daniel, and it's going to cause rippling effects because Notre Dame is going to be on the end of it.
Yeah, and again, that's the whole. Your argument is if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. So looking at that, and I agree. I think Florida State's going to win by 20 plus in this game. I really do. I think they're gonna win by 3 or 4 touchdowns in this matchup. And I respect Duke. I just think Florida State is the best team in the nation, and I think they're going to continue to show us that in this matchup because Duke has definitely garnered some respect and well-earned respect this season. And I'm going to go with Florida State to win the matchup, and PJ and I are going to go to a fast break. When we come back, we will wrap things up with NFL coverage as PJ and I will take the time to go through the NFL schedule for Week 7 and tell you who we think is going to take the cake on my birthday weekend. Coming up here right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets life.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks, located for you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, is your one-stop shop for all your sports card needs. They have singles, they have graded cards, they have packs, and they also have boxes for you to open. On top of all of that, they are the only store that I know of anywhere that I've been that has every Major League Baseball, every NFL, and every NBA team. You can go in there as a Yankee fan, a Cowboy fan, and a Celtic fan and find cards of all of those teams on the back wall at GG Cards and Breaks. I'm a Toronto Raptor, Arizona Diamondback, Jacksonville Jaguar, and I can go there and look through those cards and find inserts, find autographs, find bat cards, patch cards, so on and so forth, rookie cards. They have great stuff at GG Cards and Breaks. The quality is impeccable, and they treat you so very well. Their customer service is wonderful, and it's what made me want to work with them was the way that I was treated the day I went in there on Father's Day with my dad back here in July. So definitely implore you to go over to GG Cards and Breaks today, or Father's Day I think it's in June. I don't know why I said July, but GG Cards and Breaks, I implore you to go over there Monday through Sunday. They're open 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday from 10 to 5. You can go to GG Cards and Breaks for more information. That's ggcardsandbreaks.com, and on social media at Gideon's Gallery and at GG Cards and Breaks on Instagram. So phenomenal place, phenomenal people, phenomenal service, and once you get those cards and you want to put them away in your binder, you can get your binders as well as your hard cases, your top loaders, and your sleeves, all on site, on location. Your one-stop shop for your sports card hobby, as well as for Pokemon, Disney, Lorcana, and more. And they're the only place that I know that has AEW wrestling, soccer, men's and women's soccer, as well as baseball, football, basketball, hockey cards. They have everything there for you, and you can go out there today to see just how incredible their service is and how awesome their products are at GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Loving up the hobby with this same hobby and new memories every single day. With that being said, we're back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with Papa Joe, and we're having a good time here. I need that to be my hotkey. I'm working on hotkeys here in the studio where I could just hit it and it just does a Joe, so we can have a good time here when we get PJ on. Every Thursday, Papa Joe takes over the show with me, and it is time for us in my birthday weekend to decide who will win in the NFL. We've done our college picks. It's time to do NFL Week 7. There are 6 teams off, so if you're playing fantasy football, you can go and watch my fantasy football broadcast on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. Get all my fantasy advice for every matchup from Thursday night, which is tonight, Jacksonville at New Orleans, all the way to Monday night, San Fran at Minnesota. Make sure that you make your adjustments on fantasy football for the teams that are off this week. This is the largest bye week of the season thus far, with 6 teams on break. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Dallas Cowboys, the Tennessee Titans, the New York Jets, the Carolina Panthers, and the Houston Texans are all going to be off this week, so make sure you make an adjustment to that, and that shortens our schedule. PJ, we have Jacksonville at New Orleans to start things off. Who's winning this matchup?
Well, of course, we're going to pick Jacksonville. I mean, I'm not even if New Orleans was a better team, I wouldn't pick New Orleans, and they're not a better team. So I think Jacksonville's defense really needs to step up as we talk about the possibility of Trevor Lawrence not playing. I'm sure he's going to play. Now, how much he plays, I don't know. If the game gets out of hand, maybe they'll pull him. It gets out of hand either way, you know. You just got to like the way Jacksonville's playing this year, the way they taking care of business, the way Patterson is doing this thing.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say, in this matchup, I think Jacksonville, I think they have more firepower. I really do. I mean, obviously you want to see a healthy Trevor Lawrence out there, but I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game as well. They gave me an early birthday gift when they won their matchup at home that I was at and doing interviews at against the Indianapolis Colts to start off my birthday week, but as of right now, I feel like they're the better team. New Orleans, I mean, they're 3-3. Jacksonville's 4-2. New Orleans also lost to the Texans like the Jaguars did. They lost to them on the road, though, in a closer game. They defeated the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Titans, 3 teams that haven't been that good. They lost to the Packers and the Bucks, a little step above teams here. So we shall see. Game time decision for Trevor Lawrence, but I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars in this matchup. If Trevor's able to go, I feel like Jacksonville's got it. And if not, they got a good enough defense and run game that hopefully C.J. Beathard can lead the way. So I'm going to go with Jacksonville. Sunday, we have Las Vegas Raiders going up against the Chicago Bears. Chicago is awful, and the Vegas Raiders are not as awful. What do you have, PJ?
Oh, geez, that Raiders. Justin Fields got hurt again for the Bears, and they're going to be bringing in a rookie kid that played at Shepherd College. I never heard of Shepherd College, and I don't know where it is, but the kid looks like he's the player. I think that's him at least. Anyway, Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't know if he's going to play. He got hurt, but he doesn't run the ball that much, so I don't know. I like the Raiders because I don't think that Chicago would have a competitive team with Fields, and they're not going to have a competitive team without Fields.
Tyson Badgett, the rookie out of Shepherd, as PJ is discussing here, and Shepherd, I'm going to tell you right now. So Tyson Badgett here, who is going to be starting for the Chicago Bears, is coming to us from Shepherd. And Shepherd is, and I want to go back here and look at their football team. Shepherd comes to us from West Virginia. So we have the Shepherd team, and Shepherd is in the PSAC of the NCAA. And so that is the official Pennsylvania State Athletic. No, this can't be right. Oh, it is right. Is it right? This is very confusing. So it's the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, but Shepherd's in it, even though they're not in Pennsylvania. So this is very confusing. They're in West Virginia. So that's what we're looking at here. And it's NCAA Division II. So Tyson.
It's a great story.
It's a fantastic story. So Tyson Badgett, Division II player, getting his first start ever and in his rookie season. Go out there and let it fly, young buck. I hope you have a great time, and I hope you play it well, and I hope things go well. I'm going to go with the Raiders in the matchup, but I hope that Badgett goes out there and has a heck of a debut as a rookie. Even though I'm not picking the Bears to win as a team, I'm hoping the best for Badgett out of Shepherd. Cleveland Browns at the Indianapolis Colts. Season-ending surgery for Anthony Richardson. Go.
Gators.
So Anthony Richardson is out for the rest of the season, which means it's Minshew Mania in Indianapolis. Who wins this one, Cleveland or Indy?
Well, Cleveland's quarterback Watson is hurt too, so and they don't have a good team either. Although they beat San Francisco, how that blocked San Francisco, I don't understand it. But anyway, Minshew should come through pretty close on this one. I think Indy wins it.
Yeah, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, also a rookie, 2023 draft pick, round 5, pick 140 by Cleveland out of UCLA, is their quarterback. And I believe he utilized the transfer portal in his time. So we got two backup quarterbacks playing in this game. And you went with who, PJ?
Indy.
So going with Indy, the home team, in this matchup. Cleveland's defense was there in that game against San Fran. In a low-scoring game, Cleveland gets the victory. The first loss for San Fran this season, 19-17 in the matchup here. Cleveland Browns not too shabby, but I'm going to go with Indy in this one. They're at home, and I think they got enough. And don't count out Minshew Mania. I know that he's made some mistakes, but he's also a better quarterback than people give him credit for. So let's see Indy with this victory moving forward in this game, and a healthy and safe recovery for Deshaun Watson and Anthony Richardson, and a successful surgery that is 100% awesome for Anthony Richardson. I pray and I hope to you that all works out for you, brother. Buffalo at New England, PJ. Buffalo has a quarterback. New England, they got a problem everywhere. New England, 2 worst losses in Bill Belichick's career have happened in back-to-back games this season. The New England Patriots are 1-5, and all of a sudden, Patriots fans are really quiet. I'm not hearing anybody going, yeah, Bill Belichick, he's the greatest. He's the best ever. You got to go see him. You got to get some lobster, some Dunkin' Donuts, some Bill Belichick, sit in your chair and watch him play the game. Nobody's talking about the Patriots right now. How these fans were obnoxiously loud and crazy, and now they've all seemed to have gathered under the same rock. What do you have for this one?
Well, I hate to see New England go through what he's going through. Mac Jones is a good quarterback. I mean, I don't know what's happening over there, whether the offensive coordinator or something's not jiving. Because this kid's a player. I mean, he proved he's a player. You can play for Alabama, you're a player, period. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, the Bills should run up the score pretty easy.
Yeah, I got the Bills in this one. The New England Patriots, how the mighty have flipped the script here. When Buffalo used to steal one from them, now Buffalo's the team that's light years better on paper, at least. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills in this matchup, and I hope they get things figured out in New England and make it at least interesting. We'll see what happens from here. Washington Commanders, their third name in 5 years. The Washington Commanders against the New York Giants. What do you have, PJ?
Well, we don't know if Jones is going to play for New York. So.
Or Saquon.
Yeah, I like Washington. The kid Howell is playing a good game. He's playing tough. I like him. Washington.
Yeah, covered him in college. Sam Howell didn't buy into the Heisman thoughts, but thought that he would get the starting job in Washington as a rookie toward the tail end of the season, and he got the starting job as a rookie toward the tail end of the season. So I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders in this one to get the victory. Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Atlanta doesn't play defense. Tampa has defense, but do they have enough offense? But wait, there's more. Baker Mayfield, he's been banged up a little bit, PJ. There is the thought. There is the thought, the opportunity, and the potential that Kyle Trask
Gators
may be playing in this game with a hand injury happening to Baker Mayfield. And the hand injury update against the Lions, we'll take a look at this right now, was dealing with an apparent injury to his left hand, finished the game 19-37. And so it's not his throwing hand, but the kind of injury complicates the down-to-down operations of being a quarterback. So he did have an x-ray, and it came back negative, which is great for Baker Mayfield, but we could see Kyle Trask in this matchup. What do you have for Atlanta at Tampa?
I like Tampa because they're at home, and Kyle Trask has been knocking at the door for a while. Of course, he wasn't going to play with Brady there, but he certainly learned a lot. And Baker Mayfield is the kind of guy that, that Trask can gravitate to because he's such a character. He's probably learning from Baker, too. So even if Baker can't play, I think Kyle can win the game for him.
Yeah, I think eventually we're going to see Kyle Trask come out there, and I never want it to see because of an injury. So I think eventually we'll see him out there. And shout out to Baker for being a starter once again. I appreciate and respect it. And to Kyle Trask, shout out on your patience and everything you've learned. I think Kyle's going to do some good things. And if he gets in this game, I think he's going to throw a couple touchdowns. But I got Tampa either way. They got their defense too. And Atlanta's got some firepower, but they don't have any defense. It's been a long time since the Falcons had some defense. Detroit at Baltimore. Detroit arguably very well could be undefeated right now. And the Baltimore Ravens, they're 4-2. They've lost to the Steelers. They've lost to the Colts. But they found a way to beat the Titans recently here. And they almost shut out the Browns 28-3 on the road. What do you have for Baltimore and Detroit? A very good game.
Detroit is a dangerous team this year. Goff just lights up. He's always been a good quarterback. I thought he was good when he was with L.A. I have no reason why they had to switch quarterbacks like that. But he came over here and started playing for Detroit. Detroit is super dangerous. Lamar Jackson going to do his thing in Baltimore. I think Detroit can win this game. So I think they got a little bit more offense, and they can keep Lamar Jackson in check.
Detroit's put up 21, 31, 20, 34, 42, and 20 points so far this season. They are 5-1. On the other side of it for the Baltimore Ravens, the Ravens offense with Lamar Jackson and dealing with injury woes to the backfield again, as they have for every season in recent history with Lamar Jackson, unfortunately. They've scored 25, 27, 19, 28, 10, and 24. The Baltimore Ravens are good, but I think the Detroit Lions this season are a little bit better. They might be a lot of bit better when all is said and done. I'm going to go with Detroit Rock City right now and pick the Lions to roar their way to a victory over the Ravens. Pittsburgh at Los Angeles Rams. Kenny Pickett, he don't get that love, but he's starting to click, and he's starting to get there. The Los Angeles Rams, they're trying to figure it out. Almost their entire backfield is injured right now. Speaking of injured backfields, Kyron Williams is injured on the team. And when you look beyond, they don't have Cam Akers anymore. Zach Evans looks like he's going to get the start. Royce Freeman comes over from Tampa. He gets activated for this game. But they have Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, which is one of the most wonderful names to ever say. And Cooper Kupp might finally have the guy to help open up his game. Puka Nacua has been such a good wide receiver for this team in the Rams that he could be the thing that helps Cooper Kupp to look like Cooper Kupp again because they both command defenses to pay attention to him. It's in L.A. Does Pitt have a shot, or is this all Rams?
I think LA is the better team right now, and certainly they're better now with Cup. Look, at both of those guys are very difficult to cover because they're what I call possession receivers. They're not speed burners, although they flash some speed when necessary. It's difficult to play LA now when you got these two guys there. So I like LA because of that. If Cup wasn't playing, I'd flip the script and go to Pitt. But I like Seattle. I like LA.
Yeah, and looking at this one, George Pickens, pick it to Pickens, which is always fun to say. That's been great for fantasy football. It's been great for me when I don't put Pickens on my bench. So I think Pickens might have some things, but I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams in this one. Playing on the West Coast here as well, I think the Rams have enough to get a victory over Pitt, who's been up and down this season. I think Pitt's getting better, but I think this one might be a tough one, especially because it's on the other side of the country. Arizona at Seattle. Arizona still doesn't have Kyler Murray, but they have been utilizing some guys that you don't normally think of at Arizona. Why? Because every quarterback has their guy. And Michael Wilson has been the guy for Josh Dobbs. Michael Wilson, a 2023 draft pick. He's a rookie out of Stanford. Round 3, pick 94 by the Arizona Cardinals. Didn't have to really change his jersey. Same colors as the Stanford Cardinals. So he goes from the Stanford Cardinal to the Arizona Cardinals, red and white to red and white. And he has been a green light, not a red light for Arizona's offense. They're going to Seattle, though. Seattle's been pretty good. Geno Smith's healthy again. He's out there. Kenneth Walker's doing his thing. And we've also seen the fact that Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, they are maybe not 100%, but potentially could be going in this game. What do you have, PJ?
Oh, Geno Smith got beat up last week pretty good. He's not the kind of guy that's going to run around. He's going to stay in the pocket. I don't think Zona's defense is going to bother him at all. I think Seattle's got the better team in this particular case.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think Seattle definitely has the better squad in this matchup. So I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to get a victory here in this matchup and move forward with, I just think they got too much, and they're playing in Seattle. Green Bay at Denver. Jordan Love hasn't had a terrible year. They're 2-3. They've done some good things. We know that with Aaron Jones being injured, A.J. Dillon, my guy out of B.C., he's been good. Christian Watson's been good as well. Denver's been awful. And just because I feel like saying it again, hey, Denver Broncos, guess whose fault it wasn't? Nate Hackett's. So, with that being said, Green Bay at Denver, and Nate Hackett used to be in Green Bay as the offensive coordinator with Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, the Jets are better than the Broncos right now, and who's the offensive coordinator at the Jets? Nate Hackett. Who helped to beat the Denver Broncos in Denver with the Jets? Nate Hackett. So, shout out Nate Hackett. Just felt like saying Nate Hackett because my guy's name was dragged through the mud, and I will defend him always because he is a good man, he is a good person, and he is a hard-working fighter. Shout out to Nate Hackett. Much love to you and much respect. Green Bay at Denver, PJ. What do you got?
I still don't know which way Green Bay's going. I don't like their team at all. My bros don't like them either, so it's a tough family decision for us to root against them. But I am taking Denver in this game.
PJ is going to go with the Denver Broncos in this matchup. PJ, you might be the only person in America going with Denver in this matchup. I'm going to go with Green Bay in this. I think Green Bay is going to get a victory here. I agree with you. I don't really know who they are. I don't know if they know who they are, but they're playing the Denver Broncos, who have no idea who they are. So the next one we have up here, the Los Angeles Chargers up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City's dodged a ton of bullets like the Alabama Crimson Tide. They almost lost to the Broncos. They almost lost to the Vikings. They almost lost to the Jets. They almost lost to the Jaguars. What do you have? Kansas City at home against the Chargers.
KC's got a roll here. This is a good game for Patrick McCombs. Now, we don't know if Kels is going to play. I mean, Kels got hurt last week. He's been dining and dancing with Taylor Swift, so I guess he'll be ready to play. But I think he's a game-time decision, and frankly, that's a big, big decision. San Diego, we've got Hebert. I mean, he throws the hell out of the ball, but Mahomes and Kels are almost unbeatable. And if you don't have Kels, he's got to have another security blanket. He's got him, but I think that Kels plays, and Kansas City plays tough.
Yeah, he despite being questionable with an ankle injury, he had a full practice here recently, so hopefully that's a good sign for Travis Kelce, who always finds a way to get himself out there. I'm going to go with Kansas City at home in this matchup too. Their offense has not been great, and they've struggled to get 20 points or more in a bunch of different places, or barely above 20, so we shall see. They played some good defenses. Sunday Night Football, Miami Dolphins at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Miami Dolphins are 5-1. The Philadelphia Eagles are also 5-1. So outside of a tie, someone's coming out of here with 6, and someone's coming out of here with 2 losses. What do you have, PJ? Tua Tagovailoa going up against the guy whose job he took, Jalen Hurts. 2 Alabama quarterbacks. Hurts left for Oklahoma after he was ousted in his starting role by Tua. So what's going to happen here, PJ? Does Tua get another victory after he got that starting job? Does he get a victory on the road? Or does Jalen Hurts find a way to say, hey, quarterback who took my job, kudos to you, tip my hat to you, but we're in the NFL now and I'm getting this dub. Who gets it?
To me, it's the game of the week, and it's watchable for any football fan. I mean, this is going to be a super, super game. I gotta eat crow because I didn't think Tua could play as well as he's playing. I know what he did at Alabama, and I know that he started out well. He got hurt, and then he played well, and he got hurt again. I just didn't think he could hold up. But I'm eating my words. I mean, this kid is putting it together. He's got a great offensive ball club. My goodness, those guys can run up and down the field. Philly's in for it, boy. If they don't have their A game, they're going out the door. I like Miami.
Yeah, this one's really tough. But Miami, I said it last year, a healthy Tua could have had an undefeated Miami team. And I said it week in and week out that Miami team could have been undefeated, could have been the top team in their division with a healthy Tua. I hope he continues to stay healthy. And just like I did in the college picks, I'm picking Miami to win this game. However, Miami's on the road in this one. I am going with Tua over Jalen Hurts, just like Nick Saban did. So we shall see. I got a lot of respect for Jalen Hurts. I'm just kidding. But Jalen Hurts, tremendous bounce-back quarterback. When he left Alabama and Tua took the job, I think a lot of people counted him out. People thought he was, if Nick Saban doesn't want him, then what's he going to do? Yada, yada, yada. And Jalen Hurts turned around and brought his team to the Super Bowl. So he's a dangerous player. Miami's got a dangerous player in Tua. They got dangerous teams on both sides. And I think Miami's going to keep riding that wave down there in South Florida and bring it all the way up to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Monday Night Football. San Francisco just lost to the Cleveland Browns. Minnesota's at home, but Justin Jefferson's on injured reserve. Arguably the best receiver in the nation. What happens, PJ?
Well, Brock Purdy laid an egg last week, too. I mean, the kids got beat. I mean, they have no excuses playing against the way they did against Cleveland. It was a terrible game. Not so this week. This game, Brock Purdy comes in, all guns ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think San Fran I think Minnesota is a pretty good team, but I think San Fran's one of the best teams in the country. And San Fran, I mean, they got injuries too. Christian McCaffrey, we got to see if he's going to be healthy enough to go in this game. But ultimately, I think San Fran's got too much here. Even with Justin Jefferson, I probably would have still picked San Fran in this matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and stay there because I just think they're the better team overall. And I got the San Francisco 49ers winning the game on Monday Night Football right after my birthday. So with that being said, PJ, any final notes on the Jacksonville Jaguars that you would like to lay here on the broadcast before we wrap things up for the day?
It's imperative to watch Lawrence tonight. If he's moving around the pocket pretty good, he'll be okay. But I don't know if we're going to get to see him warm up on the sidelines. Sometimes the cameras do that. And he likes to run through his formations himself. So I don't know if he's going to be ready to go or not. I'd say he goes, and I haven't heard anything otherwise. So if he goes, they win. If he doesn't go, they don't win.
Yeah, I mean, simple as that. I think the defense can do some things, but you're going to need Trevor Lawrence to move that ball. And if you haven't watched the mic'd up thing that PJ and I watch, go to YouTube, search Trevor Lawrence mic'd up, and definitely worth checking it out. Really cool to watch, and I watched it yesterday after PJ had told me about it. So it was really awesome. A lot of fun. Jaguars tonight with a hopeful another birthday gift for me, I'm hoping. So we shall see. More than anything, I just hope that Trevor Lawrence is healthy, and so is everybody else on the field and beyond. PJ, as always, I appreciate you. Love talking with you, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Okay. Let's have a good day.
All right,
Bye.
take care. That coming from Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. I want to thank you for being a part of the show every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, hanging out with us on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connecting with us around the country and the world, we appreciate it. Once the shows go live, you can find us in the archive on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is go to any one of those channels and search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you will find me there. Make sure you follow and like it so that you can register as one of our followers or members, and you can get notified when there's new shows that are added to each of these venues. Thanks to our incredible partners here in Central and Upstate New York, Carvel DeWitt, as well as Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, PB&J's Lunchbox, GG Cards and Breaks, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Chick-fil-A Cicero, which is currently closed for refurbishment, Chick-fil-A Clay, which you can get by going to 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Canine Camp Dog Daycare, 317 at Montgomery Street. The name of the restaurant is the name of the location. 317 at Montgomery Street, open for you Tuesday through Saturday. Make sure you head in there for lunch today and get their Taste of Mexico burger with homemade queso, tortilla chips, and pico on top of their original smash burger, which is already awesome, and that's on the menu as well. Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Avicoli's, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, and Mother's Cupboard. Go to Mother's Cupboard for the Cuse McMother, my spin on the breakfast sandwich. Go and get that today. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and eat it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. You can get it 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And, of course, Carvel DeWitt. You can get my DT Dolphins. So if you're going out to the men's soccer game today at 3 o'clock, before or after, go and get a DT Dolphin and try that out today. It is mint chocolate chip, green ice cream for the Dolphins, topped off with hot fudge whipped cream, green and gold sprinkles, a cherry, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Go and find it at Carvel DeWitt today. The Lemoyne College Dolphins are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins every single Wednesday during Dolphin time. You'll find AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, every first and third Wednesday, of each month. First and third Wednesday, you'll find AD and DT. Second and fourth, you'll find the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, as well as future Dolphins, alumni, and administration. And you can check out all of this content by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and click subscribe so you'll be updated and connected, and it'll show up in your timeline on YouTube. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, and as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month, including with our specials coming up with the women's basketball program and the women's soccer program. Awesome specials inside of the Bobcat Buzz showing up exclusively on Wake Up Call with your Bobcats. And you can find all of our coverage with the Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And of course, for more information on your Bobcats, you can go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, where you'll also find the schedule of all the upcoming Bobcat games so that you can come out and support men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball coming up in the spring, baseball, and esports as well. As the website tells you, and as I will always tell you, go Bobcats. The Alfred University Saxons are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Saxons every single Monday during Saxon time. Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will have our Saxons spotlights as well as our presidential perspectives throughout the year, with an opportunity to hear from the president of Alfred University, Mark Zupan. And in Saxon Spotlight, you'll hear from student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni. We have a fantastic one coming up for you with someone who is an alum of Alfred University and used to be the CEO of Marvel Entertainment. So you don't want to miss that coming up this Monday with Peter Cuneo. Very excited about that. You can find all of our content with the Alfred University Saxons by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information, go to gosaxons.com, and as the website tells you, go Saxons. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, I want to thank Papa Joe for another tremendously awesome show. Inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Head to Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York today and get their awesome snacks. Listen, folks, we all love snacks, right? We go to movies. We either go to the movies or we watch movies at home. We go on road trips. We get on a plane and go on a trip. We have to send things for anniversaries and birthdays and graduations and celebrations in general. And we sit at home and watch our Netflix and our Disney Plus and our Hulu and our Max and Paramount Plus and so on and so forth. And you need to have a snack buddy. Well, your perfect snack buddy is Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory with kettle corn, popcorn, premium corn like the Elvis, which is banana flavored popcorn, and Reese's drizzle on top of it for that peanut butter banana flavor that I love so very much. Chocolate covered Oreos, chocolate dipped pretzels, cotton candy, lemonade, and more. And you can go and get their tins, any one of their tins. If you buy it there at Ma and Pa's, you can refill it for the rest of your life. Half price refills at Ma and Pa's if you buy one of their tins any size today. They have the sports tins. They have a ton of great stuff. They have Syracuse. They have the Mets. They have the Yankees. They have your NFL teams and so on and so forth. Go and of course, they have your teams for Major League Baseball and the playoffs going on right now. Head off to Ma and Pa's today on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. We appreciate you so very much. Thank you, Papa Joe. Thank you to you for watching and listening around the world. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. If you're in Central and Upstate New York, make sure that you continue to show love to all of our incredible partners. And as always, God